In today's video, we're going to be talking about hypoglycemia, what it is, the symptoms you might experience, and what you can do about it. Hypoglycemia is when your blood sugar drops lower than it should, and there are two types of hypoglycemia, reactive and non-reactive. Reactive is when your blood sugar drops within a few hours after eating a meal, and non-reactive isn't always related to food. Hypoglycemia is commonly seen in diabetics when they overdose their insulin, but it can also be seen in non-diabetics as well. Now, when you search for hypoglycemia online, you find a wide range of potential causes and treatments. The most common treatment you will find is to make sure you eat a meal or snack, including carbohydrates, every couple of hours. And while this can provide a temporary fix for the problem, it is not addressing the root cause, and therefore this strategy is doing nothing to help you prevent it from happening again. And isn't that ultimately what we want to do? Prevent the drop in blood sugar from happening again? So in today's video, we're going to talk about 6 symptoms and how to know if you are suffering from reactive or non-reactive hypoglycemia. And then we'll talk about some steps you can take to prevent it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kate. I'm a health coach and I post videos on a high-fat, nutrient-dense way of eating. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, feel free to share, and make sure to subscribe. And make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook where I share new posts every single day. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. For everything from websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that does it all. Head to squarespace.com/healthcoachkate to start your free trial today. As we already discussed at the start of this video, hypoglycemia means low blood sugar. Usually, the level of glucose in the blood, considered to be too low, is anything below 3.9 millimolars per liter or 70 milligrams per deciliter. But here's the thing, these numbers can be different for everyone. Someone can have what is considered to be low blood sugar and not experience any of the symptoms of hypoglycemia. And on the flip side, someone can have what is considered to be normal blood sugar and be experiencing all of these symptoms. And this is what makes things so tricky. A reactive hypoglycemia diagnosis can also be missed very easily, partly because the numbers can vary, but also because the correct tests are not often being done. Someone might be experiencing symptoms, go to their doctor, and have their fasting blood sugar look normal. But because reactive hypoglycemia happens after eating, this test isn't able to identify the problem. So we're going to start off today talking about the symptoms of hypoglycemia and how to know if you're experiencing it. Then we will get into the difference between reactive and non-reactive hypoglycemia. And we will finish off talking about the steps you can take to improve it. So let's get into the symptoms. Number 1, extreme hunger. Extreme hunger, either right after a meal or a few hours later, is a sign of hypoglycemia. Even if you check your blood sugar when you are experiencing this, and it comes out within the normal range, this can still be a sign. What could be happening if that is the case is that your cells are malfunctioning and not able to take the glucose out of your blood and use it for energy. So your cells are essentially starving, despite there being enough energy in your blood for them. And we'll talk more about why this might be happening a bit later in the video. Number 2, dizziness. If you are hypoglycemic, you might experience dizziness and lightheadedness. In extreme cases, it can also cause you to faint. Number 3, you can't concentrate. Another common symptom of hypoglycemia is losing the ability to concentrate. Your thoughts might wander, and you might find it really difficult to focus on your work or the task at hand. Number 4, headaches. Headaches are another common side effect of hypoglycemia. Your brain is particularly sensitive to a drop in blood sugar, which can cause your head to pound. Number 5, shaking. Shaking and tremors can be another symptom you experience. When blood sugar is low, this can cause the central nervous system to malfunction, which is what causes you to tremor. And finally, blurred vision. Again, this comes down to low blood sugar impacting the brain. If you are experiencing these symptoms, even if your blood sugar isn't reading low, you might be hypoglycemic. As I said before, someone's numbers might be normal, but that doesn't rule out hypoglycemia. But now let's talk about what causes hypoglycemia in the first place. There are a few different reasons why hypoglycemia might occur. As I mentioned at the start of this video, there are two main types, reactive and non-reactive hypoglycemia. And let's start by talking about non-reactive. Non-reactive hypoglycemia, also known as fasting hypoglycemia, means that you are experiencing low blood sugar as a result of something besides diet. There are certain medications that can cause it, either intentionally or as a side effect. Insulin, of course, metformin, and certain antibiotics can all cause blood sugar to drop lower than it should. Excess alcohol consumption can also cause a drop in blood sugar. This causes the liver to no longer be able to release glucose back into the bloodstream, leading to the hypoglycemia. And if you have kidney, heart, or liver issues, this can also cause it. In the case of non-reactive hypoglycemia, the cause and the solution are pretty straightforward. Address what is causing the drop in your blood sugar, such as a type of medication, and you have your solution. Now, with reactive hypoglycemia, it can be a bit more confusing. You might eat a meal high in carbs, which you think would raise your blood sugar, and it does, but still experience hypoglycemia symptoms shortly after eating. So what's going on here? Reactive hypoglycemia is one of the early symptoms of insulin resistance, prediabetes, and type 2 diabetes. All of these things go hand in hand. As someone becomes more insulin resistant, their ability to produce the right amount of insulin to regulate blood sugar decreases. Now, I have a whole bunch of other videos on insulin resistance on my channel, and I will link my playlist above if you want to know more. But here's how it ties in with reactive hypoglycemia. Whenever we eat carbohydrates, they are broken down by the body into glucose, or sugar, and enter our bloodstream. Insulin is the hormone responsible for taking the excess sugar from our blood and bringing it to our cells to use for energy. When we are insulin resistant, our cells have become overwhelmed by high levels of insulin and are no longer responding to it correctly and accepting the glucose. And this is why you can experience symptoms of hypoglycemia even though your blood sugar is normal. There is adequate sugar in your bloodstream, but your cells aren't able to accept it. So for someone with hypoglycemia, here's what happens when they eat. Their blood sugar rises and insulin rises, but it rises too much. So because there's too much insulin, too much sugar is taken out of the bloodstream, and you're left with low blood sugar and the symptoms we discussed earlier. And then, as we spoke about earlier, the most common treatment for hypoglycemia is to eat more carbs. At which point you have fallen into a vicious cycle where you are always trying to consume just enough carbs to bring your blood sugar back up. Dealing with hypoglycemia in this way is a nightmare. If you are ever in a situation where you don't have access to carbs or even food in general, you're basically screwed. The good news is that by addressing the root cause, your body's increasing resistance to insulin, you can reverse reactive hypoglycemia. But how do we do this? Reversing hypoglycemia. So the goal here is to get your body more sensitive to insulin again. If you can do this, your cells will respond better to insulin and your body will produce the correct amount to deal with the foods you are eating. As I said before, I have several other videos on my channel where I talk about insulin resistance and give you a more in-depth look. So you can check those out if you want to know more. But here are a few tips to get you started. Number 1, reduce carbohydrates and increase fat and protein. Carbs are the food that cause your blood sugar and your insulin to rise the most. By limiting foods rich in them, your body does not have to produce as much insulin, which reduces the risk of your blood sugar dropping too low. And by keeping insulin low, this also increases your body's sensitivity to insulin, improving insulin resistance. Foods rich in fat and protein have next to no impact on blood sugar and next to no impact on insulin. So focus your diet around foods such as meat, fish, eggs, and fats such as butter and olive oil, and then you can also add in some non-starchy vegetables and low-sugar fruit. Number 2, eat your carbohydrates last. If you are going to have carbohydrates with your meal, make sure to eat them last. By eating your protein, fat, and non-starchy vegetables first, you can lower the blood sugar and insulin response to the meal, which has the same benefits as lowering carbs in general. Number 3, practice intermittent fasting. Fasting is the #1 way to get your cells sensitive to insulin once again. Even if you can go for 12 hours from your last meal in the evening until your first meal the next day, this will be beneficial. If you can work your way up to fasting for 16 hours a day, even better. Diet really is the key to preventing hypoglycemia. Yes, if you are experiencing low blood sugar, eating carbs can be a short-term fix, but it is ultimately only adding to the problem. Get ahead of it by using these strategies and the strategies I talk about in my other videos, and you can avoid it from happening altogether. Now, before we wrap up, I'm going to take a quick moment to tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. It is thanks to companies like Squarespace that I am able to provide you with as much free content as I do. So if you can spare just one more minute, I would love for you to hear what they're all about. I use Squarespace for all of my online needs. My website, my online store, my email list, Squarespace does it all. One thing I love about Squarespace is just how easy it is to use. They have numerous templates that are easy to switch between, and their style editor makes customizing layouts, fonts, and colors simple. You can also use video backgrounds to really bring your website to life. And the best part is you can start a free trial and design your whole website before you commit. No credit card details required. Head to squarespace.com/healthcoachkate to start your free trial. And when you love it and decide to launch, use code HealthCoachKate to save 10% off your first order. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comment section down below if you suffer from hypoglycemia and what you do to deal with it. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and you might also like my video on the best foods to eat for insulin resistance, which you can check out here. If you want to catch up on my most recent upload, you can find it here. And if you want to check out my keto diet and carnivore diet coaching programs, you can find them here. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.